Hello colleagues, today we'll be learning about the data process as we analyse and assess Smitha Middle School's Spring 2016 end of grade scores. Our data team purpose is to provide a summary of student achievement results at Smitha Middle School as measured by the Spring 2016 Milestones end of grade test. The team must collaborate to develop a common language so that all team members will be able to identify learning problems, to create strategies, and adapt instruction to enhance learning for all students. Our inverted data pyramid shows that we first will start with looking at the EOG data as a school-wide for all subjects. Then we'll look at EOG data in grades 6 through 8 in social studies, and then finally we'll look at EOG data in social studies just for the 8th grade. The group of students who scored a level 1 or a low 2 on their milestones assessments are within the weakness range. A group of students who scored within the level 2 fall into the needs improvement category, and the group of students who score at level 3 or 4 or higher fall within the strength range. Here we look at the demographics for the last 3 years at Smitha Middle School. The Asian population rose slightly in the years 2015 to 16 and then fell again this year. The African American population was fairly steady for 2 years and then dropped significantly this year. The white population grew slightly and then fell drastically this year. The multiracial population rose slightly last year and then almost tripled this year. The Hispanic population grew from 323 students last year to becoming the majority with 511 this year. And we can see here the demographics for this year. And Hispanic students now make up just over 1/2 of the population. Smitha serves 88.9% of students as economically disadvantaged, which is double the district rate. English language learners make up 14% of the school's population, compared to 9% at the district. Students identified as gifted are only 6% of Smitha's population, just 1/3 of the district level, while the percentage of remedial students is more than 3 times that of the district. Students with disabilities make up 17.4% of the school's population as compared to 13 at the district level. Here you can see the breakdown of student attendance by school, district, and state. Cobb County's attendance level is about on par with the state of Georgia, whereas Smitha's percentage of perfect attendance is slightly below the district and the state. However, Smitha has 1/4 of students who miss 10 days or more of school. I chose to add 8th grade as they by far have the worst attendance. Only 2% of Smitha's 8th grade students have perfect attendance, whereas 39% miss 10 or more days of school during the academic school year. Smitha has a high transient rate. 1/3 of the students last year only spent part of the school year with us. The transient rate is the lowest among Hispanic students, so I'd be interested to see if the rise in Hispanic population will equate to a lower transient rate. Standardized testing data. Smitha continued to improve in language arts by decreasing the number of beginning learners in all grade levels, whilst maintaining or increasing the number of developing and proficient learners. The percentage of the highest level of achievement, distinguished learners, fell slightly. One may wonder if the huge emphasis put on guided reading for the lowest quartile may have negatively impacted the top tier of students. Smitha continued to improve scores in math in 7th and 8th grade. The rates of developing learners fell significantly in both 7th and 8th grade, and the rate of developing and proficient learners increased. 6th grade developing learners rose slightly, and proficient fell from 2015 to 2016. However, the rate of both proficient and distinguished learners increased. At a glance, the huge math initiatives that took place last year look to be paying off. Science scores improved in all grade levels. The most significant improvement was in 8th grade, who lowered their beginning learner rate from 55.8 to 31.9% and increased developing learners from 29.6% to 45.4%. They also increased the rate of proficient learners by 6%. With only 2 years to compare, it's difficult to draw any really concrete conclusions from that. Smith improved social studies scores in both 6th and 8th grade from 2015 to 2016. 7th grade stayed about the same, with a small increase in proficient learners and a slight fall in distinguished learners. As the 7th grade standards are the same as the 6th grade, one could assume that 7th grade scores should be higher, as the students are familiar already with the concepts and the vocabulary. The largest group of learners in all 3 grade levels is developing learners, which is considered as needing improvement. The second largest group in all 3 grades is the beginning learner, which is level 1. That's the lowest level and is not considered to be passing. Less than 1/4 of the students in each grade level scored as proficient, which could be because of the school's focus on guided reading last year. The lowest quartile students were provided with guided reading during science and social studies classes. Although the reading was mostly content-based, many students missed a lot of the standards. Smith Middle School continues to lag behind the county and the state. However, the scores were closer to the district and the state than that of any other academic subject at Smith last year. Students with disabilities exhibit a 12% increase in language arts, a 39.6 increase in math, a 17.9 increase in reading, a 17.7% increase in social studies, and a 10.7% increase in science. Students with disabilities are still below 80% of the exceeds expectations for language arts, science, and social studies. However, data from prior years exhibits consistent progress. The pacing guide for 8th grade social studies shows the time allotted for instruction for each concept, compared to the percentage of questions on the milestones end of grade test. Government and civics only get 5 weeks of instruction, but make up 25% of the test. Geography has a lower percentage of end of grade questions, but gets more instructional time than that of economics. History makes up slightly less than half of the test. However, much more than half of instructional time is spent on history. 326 students took the 8th grade end of grade test in social studies. Here's a breakdown of Smith's students scoring at each level in each strand. Geography as well as government and civics have the largest percentage of students performing at the beginning level. Both of those sections are taught at the beginning of the school year. The growth model from SLDS indicates that 8th grade social studies has fallen within the higher achievement range, indicating continued growth. Here you can see the positive growth for students with disabilities, limited English proficiency, and the economically disadvantaged over the past 2 years. All subgroups falling within the developing range fall within the developing range or above on the social studies end of grade test. Classroom inclusion teachers are utilizing formative assessments on a daily basis and student surveys to assess student learning needs so that instruction can be modified and adapted to improve student learning. Even though students with disabilities and limited English proficiency have the lowest percentage of students meeting and exceeding standards, on the end of grade test as compared to the non-disabled, economically disadvantaged students, they still have made progress. All ethnic groups made gains from 2015 to 2016. So as we can see, all categories showed growth in social studies. Over a 3-year period, students with disabilities increased in developing and proficient by 12%. Over a 3-year period, the economically disadvantaged students indicated an increase in meeting and exceeding the standard by 16%, and all ethnic groups showed growth. What are our next steps? What instructional changes need to be made to ensure that all social studies and science have as much success as reading, ELA, and math, now that students will have to pass the EOG to be promoted? How can reading and writing be incorporated into all curriculum areas to support ongoing success for students? Should inclusion models be adjusted to help students with disabilities in 8th grade social studies maintain academic success? Should we bring back small group instruction to 8th grade? Continue to use a variety of assessments and collaborate with general education teachers, ESOL, and special education teachers to identify student learning problems and perhaps have students self-assess themselves on a more consistent basis. Special education teachers adapt best practice documents for special education students. I hope you enjoyed this data overview for Smitha Middle School.